Then start Mataji. Now it's Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaivam Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidhi Antastohi Abhadrani Vidhu Noti Suritsatam Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 2, Text 6. Tam eva videre madhukarim eva sumanasa apajigrir antim divija manuja manonayan ahalada daghir gati vihara Rida Vinaya Yavaloka Shushvar Aksharavaya Vir Manasi Nirnam Kusumaya Duasya Vidad Atim Vivaram Nija Mukha Vikalita Mrita Sava Sahasa Bashanamoda Madanda Madhukara Nikaro Parodena Drutapada Vinyasena Valgo Spandanastana Kalasha Kabara Bara Rashanam Devam Tad Avalokanena Viritava Sarasya Bhagavato Makara Dvajasya Vasham Apanito Jadavat iti Ahovacha. Synonyms: Tom to her, Eva indeed, Avidure nearby, Madhukarim Eva like a honeybee, Sumanasaha beautiful flowers, Apajigrid antim smelling, Divija of those born in the heavenly planets, Manuja of those born in the human society, Mana mind, Nayana for the eyes, Alada pleasure, Dukhe producing, Gati by her movement, Vihara by pastimes, Rida by shyness, Vinaya by humility, Avaloka by glancing, Susvara Akshara by her sweet voice, Avayave and by the limbs of the body, Manasi in the mind, Nirnam of men, Kusuma Ayudasya of Cupid, who has the flower arrow in hand, Vidadhatim making, Vivaram oral reception, Nijamukha from her own mouth, Vigalita pouring out, Amrita Asava nectar like honey, Sahasa in her smiling, Bhashana and talking, Amoda by the pleasure, Mada Anda blinded by intoxication, Madhukara of bees, Nikara by groups, Aparodena because of being surrounded, Druta hasty, Pada of feet, Vinyasena by stylish stepping, Valgu a little, Spandana moving, Stana breast, Kalasha like water pots, Kabara of her braids of hair, Bara weight, Rashanam the belt upon her hips, Devam the goddess, Tat Avalokanena simply by seeing her, Virita Avasarasya taking the opportunity of Bhagavata of the greatly powerful Makara Dvajasya of Cupid, Vasham under the control, Upanita being brought in, Jadavat, as if stunned, iti, thus has certainly uvacha, he said. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Like a honeybee, the Apsara smelled the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds and vision of both humans and demigods by her playful movements, her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sounds that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motion of her limbs. By all these qualities she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, a path of oral reception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth. As she breathed, the bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus-like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily, but as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making a path for the entrance of Cupid, who is most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. How a beautiful woman's movements and gestures, her hair and the structure of her breasts, hips, and other bodily features attract the mind not only of men, but of demigods is very finely described in this statement. The words Divija and Manuja specifically emphasize that the attraction of feminine gestures is powerful everywhere within this material world, both on this planet and in the higher planetary systems. It is said that the standard of living in the higher planetary systems is thousands and thousands of times higher than the standard of living on this planet. Therefore, the beautiful bodily features of women there are also thousands and thousands of times more attractive than the features of the women on this earth. The Creator has constructed women in such a way that their beautiful voices and movements and the beautiful features of their hips, their breasts, and other parts of their body attract the members of the opposite sex, both on earth and on other planets, and awaken their lusty desires. When one is controlled by Cupid or the beauty of women, he becomes stunned like matter, such as stoned. Captivated by the material movements of women, he wants to remain in this material world. Thus, one's promotion to the spiritual world is checked simply by seeing the beautiful bodily structure and movements of women. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore warned all devotees to beware of the attraction of beautiful women and materialistic civilization. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even refused to see Prataparudra Maharaj because he was a very opulent person in the material world. Lord Chaitanya said in this connection, Nishkinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajanan Mukasya. Those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, because they are very serious about going back to God, back home, back to Godhead, should be very careful to avoid seeing the beautiful gestures of women, and should also avoid seeing persons who are very rich. Nishkinchasya Bhagavad Bhajanan Mukasya Paramparam Jika Mishor Bhava Sagarasya Sandarshanam Vishayinam Atayoshitam cha ha hanta hanta visha bhakshannato api asadu. Alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 11.8. One who is serious about going back to Godhead should not contemplate the attractive features of women and the opulence of rich men. Such contemplation will check one's advancement in spiritual life. Once a devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, however, these attractions will not agitate his mind. End of purport. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I'd like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam today and purify myself on this auspicious occasion of Gaur Purnima. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. I've taken some notes from a lecture in San Diego to write the summary. So in this verse, we're hearing about how the material attraction enters through the contemplation upon the material objects. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada stated how beauty is designed within the material nature by Krishna to stimulate desire, and Krishna has made women beautiful and attractive to awaken the lusty desires of the opposite sex. So the concept is that from attraction and contemplation comes attachment, and then from the attachment comes the bondage to the material world. And so once one is fixed in Krishna consciousness, that attraction is no longer agitates the mind. And women are so attractive that it can check one's advancement in spiritual life if he contemplates them. Once a devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, however, these attractions will not agitate his mind. So Krishna consciousness is the immunity from the attachment and bondage to the lusty desires, the immaterial attachment. In Bhagavad Gita 262 to 263, Krishna says, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. And so from that, elaborating more on that, how the bondage happens is from the attachment, the lust, from the lust, the anger, from the anger, the delusion, and from that delusion, that's the fall down, and thus the material lust is the root enemy, and the loss of intelligence is the loss of control of the senses, and the mind follows what the intelligence contemplates. And so women here is mentioned as the sense gratification principle, and opulent men as the material prestige principle. And Cupid carries the arrow of flowers, and Cupid has 5 flower arrows for each of the 5 sense objects. And so the question is, why do people act against their own good? And the conditioned soul's Achilles heel is the lust. In Bhagavad Gita 3:37, Krishna answers Arjuna's question as to why one is impelled to sinful acts. Kama esha krodha eshu rajaguna samubhava. It is lust only, Arjuna, which is born in contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of the world. And temporary relief from suffering creates the illusion of happiness, and thinking that material life can satisfy us is truly the greatest illusion. So relating this in my own life, and I'm sure for most of us also, we weren't trained from a young age in brahmachari or had gone to a gurukul. So I had grown up in the Western culture where there's no information or practice of control of lusty desires. People in general don't know how to control their senses, and women and men associate freely from a young age and enter into relationships as a societal norm. It is common for people to engage in discussions of wealthy men and beautiful women. Whether it is out of envy or desire, people are captivated by such persons, and they spend their lives contemplating upon such persons. And as a result, as the Srila Prabhupada said in the purport, it is like they have drank poison and then they have no conception, they have no awareness of the spiritual reality. And so with the free mixing of the youth and the social glorification of wealth and beauty and the identity centered on the body, the result is that people obsess over wealthy and attractive persons, and spiritual awareness diminishes and consciousness becomes materially absorbed. So we know that the proper way, as instructed by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.6.1, Prahlad Maharaj said this demoniac schoolmates that one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of life from the very beginning of life. The human life is one that one can perform devotional service, and even a slight amount of devotional service can give one complete perfection. So that one should begin devotional service as soon as possible. But for most of us, that isn't the case. So we begin as soon as we possibly can. And because the human being's primary duty is to render service to the Supreme Person, and so a pure devotee is always devising plans also to deliver people from the clutches of Maya. And so the purport was long. There's lots to say on the verse. But so Rupa Goswami says in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187 that a person acting in this service of Krishna with his body, mind, and words is a liberated person even within this material world. And the spiritual body is always unaffected by material conditions. And so the conclusion here is that the material lust is binding, and the devotional service will purify us, and our association will help shape our destiny. If we fix our mind on Krishna and align our senses, and that is when spiritual life and real life, also so-called liberation, begins, because engaging in the service of Krishna is true liberation, even in this life. So thank you for allowing me to summarize today. Thank you. Please forgive me for any shortcomings. Happy Gaur Purnima. Hare Krishna.